Hi, I'm Sarah Jane from Marshmallows.com, and today we're going to make some marshmallows. Marshmallows are one of these things that a lot of people are kind of scared of, but really there's no need, they're very simple to do. Now today we're going to make alcoholic marshmallows with some Baileys, which are just lovely as a Christmas gift for giving to adults for melting into hot chocolate or on long skewers. We'll do both just a bit later. You can use this same recipe, but instead of the alcohol, just either substitute more water and some vanilla essence for vanilla, or peppermint or orange or any type of extract that you like, about 2 to 3 teaspoonfuls of extract. Alternatively, you can use fruit purees. If you were going to use fruit purees, you want to change half a cup of the water to half a cup of fruit puree. Basically, you can do it as you fancy. First of all, to start with, what we want is 1 cup or 250 ml of water. We're going to put that into a large heavy based pan. We also want 500 grams of granulated sugar. And we're going to add that to our pan. Now we need to turn those onto the plate and bring to the boil. Just give it a slight stir to mix the two through. Now, meantime, while that's going to come up to the boil, what we're going to do is take 2 sachets. This is Dr. Oetker gelatin I've got here, 2 envelopes of gelatin, and to that we're going to add 120 millilitres of Baileys. You could substitute anything else that you fancy, whether it be water, should you be doing vanilla ones, and some vanilla extract. Or fruit puree. If you're doing fruit puree, rather than putting in 250 ml of water in with the sugar, what I prefer to do is to actually put the fruit puree, half a cup of fruit puree and half a cup of water in with the sugar to boil and make the syrup, and just add water to the gelatin. And this needs half a cup, so about 125 ml of water, which we're just going to add to the gelatin, and then give it a stir and leave that for just a few minutes so that it blooms and absorbs the liquid. Just giving that a stir, and then we're going to set it aside. Now, into our mixer we want to put 2 egg whites. Put our marshmallows in, we're going to need a pan, and the pan that I prefer for using with these is our Swiss roll tray. It's silicone, which means it's very easy to use with marshmallows, and it is non-stick. Saying it's non-stick, marshmallows sticks like super glue to absolutely everything. If this was a tin, you'd need to line it in greased foil and then put cornstarch or icing on it, as icing sugar as well. Being silicone, all I'm going to do is give this a very light spray with some cake release spray. You could alternatively just use a little bit of sunflower or olive oil, sunflower or vegetable oil on a piece of kitchen roll to lightly grease the inside. It just makes it so much easier to get out. I quite like this spray because it's just so fast and easy to use, and I'm just going to give that a good rub into the actual surface of the pan. It's just not going to stick to that at all. It's literally just going to flop out when it's ready and it's done. So what we want to do is a little induction hob I've got, so it's really fast. What we're going to do is get our sugar syrup up to 122 degrees centigrade. When it gets to 122 centigrade, we want to pour it into our 2 firmly beaten egg whites, which are like at a stiff peak. I will start beating the egg whites in just a few minutes. Sometimes what I quite like to do is add a little bit of coffee extract. I usually use camp coffee extract to the Bailey's liqueur, Marshmallows as well, because it adds a bit of colour. You don't actually taste the coffee, it's only enough to give it a bit more colour, and it kind of highlights and brings out the nuttiness in the hazelnut flavour. Okay, so I'm just going to whip these egg whites up. Okay, so our egg whites are nicely beaten, and you need to use a candy thermometer with this, with the sugar syrup. We want this sugar syrup to come up to 122 degrees centigrade. Okay, when your sugar syrup has reached 122 degrees centigrade, you want to take it off the heat and add in your Bailey's, which has been mixed with the gelatin granules. And add that in. It is going to foam a bit, but not dangerously so, and give it a good stir. Now, what we want to do is turn this mixer back on again, and we're going to add it into the beaten egg whites. It's important at this stage to remember it's very hot, and sugar will burn you quite badly if you get it in contact with your skin. Also, try and not pour the sugar syrup directly onto the beater. Pour it down the inside of the bowl, because if the sugar syrup goes onto the actual beater itself, what will happen is you'll get nasty kind of lumpy crispy bits through the middle of it where it's crystallised. I'm just going to turn this back on and start adding the sugar syrup. Until it starts to go very thick and shiny and fluffy, but it's still pourable. Okay, our marshmallow is looking about done. It's about pouring consistency. You don't want to leave it till it's set. It's too long because it starts setting quite quick once it gets to this stage. But it's quite thick and fluffy. You'll find that if you're making a marshmallow that has no fat content, like vanilla for example, that it will whip up even more and become a lot thicker in texture, a lot thicker in density. You'll have a lot more marshmallow in your bowl. It doesn't whip up so much when you add something that has a fat content into the actual mallow mix itself. So there we are, we've got our mallow mix here now, and we're just going to pour this into our mould. spread it out into the corners. That now needs to set and set uncovered for about 3 hours before we're going to demould it and cut it up. Okay, so marshmallow's ready and I've turned it out now of the mould. What you'll find with a marshmallow where you've added the likes of Bailey's, which has got a high fat content, is it does make a denser marshmallow than what you would if you added something with 0 fat content, like just rose water or orange extract or something like that. And the reason for that is the fat content just doesn't allow the egg whites to whip up as much. Still, even so, it's much like eating fluffy clouds still compared to commercial marshmallows, which are much denser in comparison. You want to cut this with a well-oiled knife and just toss it in an equal mixture of ice and sugar and corn flour, just sieved and then mixed together. Just so they don't stick together. As long as you've actually well greased the knife before you cut them, they'll cut quite nicely, and you can cut them into any size you require. I'm just going to give them a toss like that. These are going to keep in an airtight box for about 2 to 3 weeks. Don't put them in the refrigerator. They'll just kind of get moisture will come out of them and they'll go all sticky. They just want to be in a nice dry box or bag, and they store beautifully. You can cut them into smaller pieces if you like, for putting on top of coffee or hot chocolate, or you could put them in bigger cubes onto skewers and drizzle with chocolate and dip in nuts to roll.